Cutback for Vasilev, and Lukic! A banger of a strike for Jovan Lukic's first MLS goal!
It's fallen out to Westfield! Oh, wow! He's nearly taken the roof of the net off! Philadelphia pounce again!
Who gets his goal on his Union debut? The record signing, off and running in his first appearance for the club.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and your Philadelphia Union once again with another loss. 3 losses in a row now in all competitions. And, you know, it's interesting, too, because they fell to Club América last night 1-0 in the first leg of the round of 16 in a competition that some Twitter user says is a pointless cup. And I'm sure we'll get into that. Is it pointless? Is it not pointless? But I guess maybe José, maybe other Philadelphia Union fans, maybe they feel the same way, because when we saw last night, those fans did not show up. But we'll get into that in a little bit. First and foremost, most importantly, how are you feeling, José?
I'm good. Those that have kids know how much routine matters, and with the time change, the routines all off. So what used to be a 5-minute process with my little guys is now a 25, 30-minute process to get them to bed. Their bodies are still a mess from it all. But after being out there last night, I'm just glad to be able to be here and talk about it. I know we spoke very clearly, Todd, that this was going to be a tight 30, 45-minute episode. So we'll pack as much as we can. But an interesting loss. I know people have different opinions about it. I'm just really eager to hear your thoughts now that you've marinated a little bit on it, and certainly people on the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, I didn't mix my words on Twitter. I was disappointed, honestly, to see the low crowd. And yeah, as the game kicked off, we started to see the stadium fill up a little bit more, but let's be honest, this was not the atmosphere. This was not the crowd size of what it was in 2021 when Club America came. And I think I maybe shouldn't be that surprised, because let's face it, that was a semifinal game, if I'm not wrong, José, when Club America came to town in 2021, and this was only a round of 16. So yeah, obviously those Club America fans that showed up in 2021, they knew, okay, well, if we win this game in Chester, then we're going on to a final. And so round of 16 doesn't have the same pool as a semifinal game. I totally get that. But what I don't really understand, José, is why. When I would imagine the Union probably have anywhere between 11, 13,000 season ticket members, and these games were included this game was included as one of the 3 bonus games that the Union give, and fans didn't show up for a free bonus game. And I saw I got drug a little bit on Twitter because I called this a free game, and like, no, we pay for these. I think it's free, right? It's one of those bonus games. Yeah, sure, I guess you pay, but let's face it, right? You when the Union if they advance to this competition, then you have the option to buy into the next rounds and everything. But look, I don't think it's an excuse. I get why some fans didn't show up. It's a Tuesday night game. It's a midweek game. School the next day for families that have kids. You have some fans I saw on social media saying, yeah, they had bad experiences with Liga MX fans. But look, if I'm honest, José, right? I still don't think that it's enough of an excuse why Union fans didn't show up. We talked about how this is a big game, and it's not every day that your club gets to play against, in my opinion, the biggest club in this side of the hemisphere. It's not every day that you get to play against competition like that. So why wouldn't you show up, right? Fans want to show up when Inter Miami's in town. And yes, I get it because Messi's on the team. But look, this is a huge club. And I get it. There might be names on Club America that fans don't recognize. But look, there's an American on the team, Alex Zendejas. There's a guy that people should know. But maybe we're wrong, Jose. Maybe a majority of this fan base are casual fans. They're not diehards. They don't know every little competition, every single team. They don't know multiple players on teams that come to Subaru Park. They just know the Philadelphia Union, and that's it. And maybe last night was an indication of that this fan base is Philadelphia Union fan base, and I don't want to dunk on them too much, but maybe it is more casual fans than it is hardcore fans that we like to believe, or at least we see on social media.
Yeah, I'm stuck on this whole thing. I get it on my end, and I know, Todd, I think it's fair to say I have different experiences than you in terms of where I am in life. I get the side of, the suburban dad who has 2 kids and making it to Subaru Park on a random Tuesday can be difficult. But then there's also the avid sports fan in me that wants to be there for a match like Club America and the magnitude of that game. But I was excited, right? I think I made it known fairly quickly, and have made it known fairly quickly throughout, me talking into a dumb camera to people that want to listen. That I do love it when, teams from far, far away, known or unknown to people, come to Subaru Park, or the Union go to them, just because of the mixing of cultures. I love seeing the playing styles. I mean, it was such a stark difference between the 2 playing styles yesterday. I think we'll dig into that a little bit too. But it's such a cool thing. Never mind, this is the UEFA Champions League of this side of the world. So I don't, or supposed to be anyways. I just don't get why the energy is just not there for something like this. Is it a marketing thing with Concacaf? Is it a marketing thing within the Union? I'm frankly not sure. But I was so shocked. I thought it would have been like 70-30, maybe 60-40 in terms of the stadium makeup. But is it fair to say it was more like 85% Club America fans, maybe closer to 90, it felt like? And I mean, certainly in the 25th minutes when they started whipping out the Ole as they were passing the ball around. Never mind the last 10 minutes of the match, suddenly the crowd erupts chanting, and it genuinely sounds like we're in Mexico. It was incredible, but I don't know that the fans from the other side put up a fight. In fact, I don't know why the clip got cut, I should say. Andrew Rick said as much. He said it was so bizarre for him to be coming out of his own tunnel at his own stadium and be booed as loud as he was. He said it was such a shocking experience for him to hear that. So I don't know, man. This is tough. I don't know if it gets any bigger than Club America to have come to your home, and in terms of a competition that actually matters and not just a friendly, as it stands right now. I don't know what it's going to take for Union fans to show up to some of these games.
Yeah, I don't know either. And I thought it would have been last night, a big competition, a big game. And yes, I get it right. The Union of struggling as of late, barely scoring goals. And I don't know. I still don't think it's an excuse not to show up. I really don't. I don't think that shows a good sign to the players, saying, hey, look, we're not going to show up. We're going to let this turn into an away stadium. And yes, that's what happened in 2021. And it was to be expected, I would say. I think you and I, Jose, we talked. We said 75, 80% Club America fans we were expecting, and it turned out, or at least it seemed to be, a lot more than that. It seemed like it was closer to 90%, I would say, 90 to 10% Union fans, and it just, I don't know, was really disappointing. Club America fans, fantastic though, from start to finish. Watching them tailgate in different areas of Subaru Park and or the lots outside Subaru Park, and seeing the smoke bombs go off. And yeah, I don't know, Jose. You and I talk about it all the time. Where I know you like Leagues Cup a lot more than me, and you love seeing the Liga MX fans come to Subaru Park supporting their club at Subaru Park against the Union. But I don't know. I feel like the Union could do so much better drawing these local fans of the Liga MX fan bases into becoming Union fans when the MLS season starts. And look, I don't want to harp on this too much longer, the atmosphere or the lack of atmosphere from Union fans, but what I guess we can circle back to, and then we'll talk about the game, is how in the world do you call this competition pointless? Blows my mind. And I'm not going to name the person's name. I mean, they've been getting drug on Twitter ever since I quote tweeted them last night, and yeah, it's just not stopping. And it's crazy. I was looking, like, people in Brazil are finding this tweet, people in England found this tweet, people in Canada are finding this, different MLS fan bases, and how you could call Concacaf Champions Cup pointless when it leads you to the Club World Cup, where you're competing against the best of the best. And Jose, you had the honor, the privilege to cover the Club World Cup this past summer in Philadelphia. You saw the fan bases all over the world that showed up for this competition, how much this competition meant. And the thing that I made it a point on Twitter is this fan base loves to complain about the Union not spending money. You know what you get for going? Not even winning the Club World Cup, just going. You get a ton of money. And so how can you call this pointless? And so, like I said at the opening, okay, yeah, there's this one person on Twitter saying that it's a pointless competition. But by the looks of it, seems like a lot more Union fans not showing up to this game would echo those same statements. But again, I'm still mind blown. A pointless competition, insane. It's like saying the Champions League in Europe is pointless. No European fan would say that. Insane.
It's such a, and I say this as someone who is half American, like, it's such an American sports mindset to not care about anything but your own league play, right? Where the NBA is trying this basically FA Cup, not even, you can't even call it FA Cup because there's no lower level teams, but like its own tournament within a tournament, right? And it sort of simulates to a lesser degree, again, what the FA Cup does. And my goodness, like, the attention behind it, I think it's the Emirates Cup, I think they call it. I can't remember. Mike Barrera's in here. Please, like, chime in, Mike, if you can. To say that the only games that matter are MLS games is such a funny thing to say. And I think it's fair to say, Todd, and say this as someone who obviously reports on the team, cares about the team. I think, say it again, straddles a fine balance between, informing people, but also caring about the team in a way. Like, I don't know how much further the field goal can move with the field post, I should say, the field goal post can move with this fan base in terms of what they want, right? They want U.S. Open Cup back. And I'm paraphrasing someone's tweet, Corey Furlan, who kind of like nailed it on the head in a way, in such an interesting, in an accurate way. You want the FA Cup back? 800 people show up. Okay, there was a whole protest and everything. You're not spending, they say. All right, the Union go and break their own transfer record 2 years on the bounce and still complaining or not showing up. It's just what else is it gonna take? And I totally get right now the team's not playing attractive ball, and I don't know if Bradley Carnell needs to be as outward about what he wants to see from the fans as Jim Curtin was. Do you recall Jim Curtin just outright saying during a press conference, "Please don't sell your tickets"?
Yeah, I do.
Was it Inter Miami? Okay, so I think it was Inter Miami. Anyways, I don't know if Bradley Carnell needs to say that outright, but something tells me that there was that much yellow in the River End because people sold their tickets. I don't know that there's any other way around it, right? The amount of yellow, my goodness, to see a Club America flag that's a banner, whatever you want to call it, that's, like an arm's length, wide, big, whatever you want to say, like to see that in the River End in the middle of 130, whatever, 30, I guess it would be like 36, 37. I can't recall. Like, it's so crazy that was there. I'm not obviously totally welcome Mexican flags, whatever, do whatever you want. That's totally fine. But to see a Club America and see the amount of yellow blotched across the River End and ultimately mostly yellow, to me was an unbelievable sight. And you can't help but to say that fans just sold their tickets, and that's a shame. That's a damn shame that happened.
Some music dude comments and says, security told me there was nowhere to put them. I saw plenty of empty seats to move them to. Could have made them standing room too. And yeah, I saw that going around on Twitter, talks about.
That's the answer.
We want to download.
No, honestly, it has to be. It has to be. And I see this coming. I knew this was coming. Yeah, you can be nice to them, but you can also fucking show up to be nice to them. I think that's the difference, Hoagie. You got to show up to be nice to these people, not sell your tickets and stay at home. That's the big difference. There is genuinely, it's starting to feel like for these games that are massive, and the Union put out the youngest MLS team to ever go on a Concacaf Champions Cup match since 2012 last night. The youngest team ever. And you're telling me that they couldn't use the help, and fans thought, oh, it's probably fine, just sell our tickets. They're good enough. They have the experience to do it. They were the youngest side ever in MLS, well, youngest side since 2012 that an MLS team has put out for CONCACAF. But selling the tickets, what makes the most sense? It's just such a weird thing to me.
Can I play devil's advocate real quick?
Let it rip. That's a Carnell thing. Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's face it. And you and I haven't had season tickets in a very long time. I know my sister canceled hers after the end of the season. But if you go on the secondary marketplace, the tickets go cheaper than what they are when you're buying full season tickets. And so I know that's why my sister canceled hers. I know there's a lot of other fans, they canceled their season tickets because it's cheaper to get them the day of the game, a couple days before the game, than it is paying the money up front for these season tickets. And so these fans that are selling their tickets, trying to make a profit, trying to make some of the money back on their tickets, I can understand why they were selling it. Just like the fan base sells their tickets for Inter Miami. They try to make as much money as they can when Lionel Messi and his former Barcelona teammates come to town. I totally get it. But a game of this magnitude, when the team's not been performing as well as his fan base would have hoped, would have won it. Yeah, it seems like this is a game you would have wanted to show up and show your support and be behind the team. And again, I don't think it's a great look. I heard from fans that the players were looking up, coming out the tunnel. You talked about Andrew Rick never being booed at his stadium as loud as he was. And players apparently coming out of the locker room and seeing why is there Club America fans in the River End? Yeah, it's just overall not a great look whatsoever. But you had mentioned the youngest starting lineup in quite some time by an MLS team in CONCACAF Champions Cup. And so let's go ahead and talk about that lineup last night, Jose. Andrew Rick in goal, Nathan Harriel at right back, Gainer Martinez at center back with Oluwethu Makanya, who, hey, named to the preliminary squad for South Africa. So hopefully he makes the final roster. It's about time that South Africa is giving him some love, and now let's hope he makes that final roster when that decision's to be made. Phillipe Ndinga makes his debut after only being in Chester for a couple of days. Jesus Bueno and Jovan Lukic started as the 2-6s. Kevin Sullivan, Alaski, and Anello as the 3 number 10s. And then you had a lone striker and Ezekiel Alado. Pretty unique lineup, I would say there, Jose, that I think caught a lot of us by surprise, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, we were sitting in the, again, super fortunate to have this, and Mike has experienced it. Others that have done press have experienced it, but we were sitting in the cafeteria area for press, enjoying food and some soda, whatever. And you had made the point, hey, have you checked the Concacaf portal for the roster? They usually post there. I was like, oh, you're right. I haven't been thinking right. So I looked at it and my jaw just dropped, right? Like, you go ahead, meaning Carnell, go ahead and hold out Kevin Sullivan against San Jose to play against Club América. It's an interesting choice. Never mind when he was pulled out of play. But a very interesting choice to also throw the brand new guy after like 4 or 5 days of training into an away game at home is certainly a choice. But I think the guy held his own, and we'll talk more about his performance. But certainly did not expect for Danley Jean-Jacques to not take much of a part in this game. That was the biggest piece for me, and also to see Damiani, who I think whether it was the tilting or the shifting of the game was happening right before half, which I think you could say was starting to kind of move towards the Union's way right before half, but Damiani helping sort of the tilt and also missing a very clear chance. Only coming in the second half was also interesting to me. So I don't know about your thoughts. I think you said it was kind of a shocker, but I don't know if you have any deeper comments than that.
Andrew Rick made his third. Andrew Rick made his third start in this competition, which, look, maybe this is Andrew Rick's competition. You had said it before the game. You said, I wonder if this is Andrew Rick's competition going forward. And Andrew Blake continues to play in MLS. I don't think Andrew Rick had a bad game last night, made a couple saves and nothing he could do on that goal. And we can talk about that goal here in a bit. Getting Martinez, maybe a little bit of a surprise, but Siri Larson picked up a little bit of a injury against San Jose over the weekend. So when you get that context from Carnell, okay, maybe it makes sense why you don't play Larson in this game. You put in Martinez. I think for me, the more surprise was when this game started, seeing that the Union came out of 4-2-3-1 formation instead of their typical 4-2-2-2. And we'll talk about that here in a bit. I have a couple clips I want to play throughout the show. But yeah, I think it was also interesting too, Jose, because this is now the 6th different back line pairing that the Union have had in 6 games in all competitions this season. And you want this team to build chemistry, but how can you build chemistry when you keep switching up your back line as much as the Union have this season? I get it. Different injuries have played a factor. Ndinga, that's your left back you've been tracking. He finally gets in, and I would imagine he'll play majority of the games at left back now. And so we'll see what Carnell does at the center back spot. Right backs, I think, open competition between Frankie Westfield and Nathan Haverhill, where both those guys, I think, would start on majority of teams in MLS. And the Union have the fortunate pleasure of having 2 of the best right backs in MLS, in my opinion. So it'll be interesting to see how often that position gets changed. Nate Haverhill, I'm sure, will continue to play moments at center back. But this team, this formation, this form that the Union are on isn't necessarily a defensive issue as much as it is an attacking issue. Only 5 goals conceded in 6 games in all competition. Tells you right there that, that's less than a goal in a game. That's not bad defensively for this team. Only game that you've conceded multiple goals in was against New York City. 2 goals. You give up that late game-winning goal by Tavon Gray. But, yeah, I would like to see some consistency in the back line. And now that Ndinga is here, you probably will start to get some consistency, I would imagine, or at least at left back. But Nathan Haverhill was asked after the game, how difficult is it to adjust to different back lines every single game? And Nate made it a point to say, look, the form that we're in right now, the back line changing every single game, there's no excuses to be made.
No excuses, everybody that's in that locker room is here for a reason. You're playing the field for a reason. So, yeah, of course, there's different relationships with different guys, but at the same time, there's no excuses whatsoever. We've spent enough time together within preseason in Spain, Clearwater, and these first couple weeks of the season. So we'll continue to gel together, get to know each other a little bit better, but at the same time, when we're put in the field, we have a job to do, and that's all we can do.
And you know what's interesting, Jose? I had a comment a couple days ago on StreamYard, not StreamYard, from Substack. A fan had asked me, where are the leaders on this team? Who's the leaders other than Blake and Bedoya? We talked about Frankie Westfield. I think he's captain material. Listening to Andrew Rick after the game last night, I think he's captain material. Nathan Harriel, I think, is a leader in his own right. We've heard Carnell come out and say, yeah, Jeremy Raffanello throughout preseason had been more vocal, surprised him a little bit being a leader. So I think this team does have leaders, and you do like to see the young homegrown players step up and be more vocal, be comfortable taking accountability to the media. And yeah, I think Nate just keeps it 100. Look, there's no excuses. We have a job to do. Doesn't matter what position we're in. Doesn't matter who's selected. We're professional soccer players, and when we're told to go out there and do our job, it's up to us to do the job. And unfortunately, the offense can't put the ball in the back of the net. There are chances getting created, but I do like that from Nate. Just no excuses. They're not getting the job done.
Yeah, I know it comes with the territory of being a captain or a standing captain, or as they sort out who does what in leadership role now that Glasses is gone, Ua is gone, etc. It comes with the territory of having to go and talk after difficult situations like this losing streak, right? I was kind of surprised by the PR team and whether it was requested by folks in our end in terms of who they wanted to hear from, or if it was Amanda Young, Erica Shear, Eric Chambliss, or how do you say his name? Chambliss?
Yeah.
Chambliss?
Yeah.
Okay. If it was them saying, yeah, it's got to be Nate, or he raised his hand and said, I got to go talk to the press. Guy had to do a CONCACAF interview, which was kind of awkward with somebody right after the game, kind of obviously defeated, but looked like unbelievably defeated. And then having to hear from us or us hear from him to kind of feel bad for the guy. But he makes a lot of money. This is the role that he's in, and a lot of money in terms of a compared to an average American, I would say. But I feel for the dude. This has to be a very tough thing to come and explain. And the disappointment doesn't get any easier for him. I'm sure he has experienced the highest of the highs, and I'm starting to wonder if this is a new low compared to 2024 for him specifically, though. That 2024 year, that's when he started to kind of pull back a little bit, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel for the dude and what he's going through, but he's being honest. I think it's fair to say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like all of them probably hate talking to us, and that's okay. Like the last thing they want to do after the game is talk to idiots like us who are staring at them, asking them, especially during a losing streak, difficult questions, or just questions, period. Milan Iloski looked annoyed from the get-go when he came to do press. I could be wrong, but that's the vibe I got. Nobody wants to talk to us, never mind after a loss. So I appreciate how honest he is, but the final thing I'll bring up is I think you're genuinely right about Andrew Rick. I was shocked that you can kind of, I remember interviewing him once on a one-on-one, and him starting to kind of learn the PR, speak. And then this match yesterday, after the match, you could tell that it's like, I remember looking at it and saying, listen to this clip. Does this guy not sound like captain material? And then just having to kind of think, how old is he again? So kudos to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's go ahead and quickly talk about Ndinga's performance. First game in Philadelphia Union colors. Only have been here for a couple of days in Chester. And I think Bradley Carnell said he's only had a day and a half worth of training sessions. And so you get thrown into the fire right away against Club America. This is a weaker Club America team than America teams in the past, but at the same time, you're still going out there against some of the best competition. You're going against the best team in this competition, and you're going out there trying to learn how the team wants to play, learn the movements from your teammates. And I thought he had a really good debut. Defensively, I think he was really solid. You could see that he has really good technical abilities. I do think it's interesting that you have a left back that's right-footed at left back. But let's face it, right? We've seen Nathan Harriel play at left back. We've seen Frankie Westfield, both right-footed players, play on the left. So I think we'll come to appreciate it, right? Because this team does their due diligence. They do so well scouting players, making sure, number one, that the players that they sign aren't going to disrupt the locker room. But number two, the finding players that can fit in with this team overall, quality-wise. And so I have no doubt that Ndinga is going to do well, going to fit in just fine. I think this fan base has expectations that he'll go ahead and have the same productivity as Kai Wagner. And I think that's just way too high of expectations on him. Defensively, really sound. And you can see that he's a player that is aggressive, a player that loves putting in a tackle, a player that wants to move fast. And this team, Jose, we've talked about it, has lacked speed in the past, maybe lacked some athleticism. And it doesn't seem to be the case with this team this season. And Ndinga looks to be the part.
It looks like he is going to bring something different, which is good. I also share, not necessarily concerned, but just kind of I guess, just intrigued on the whole idea of a right-footed left back. Don't know how that's going to work with, let's say, first-time balls, right? Say someone is a Damiani or Aneo, Olaski, whatever. I know they often just kind of shift and move around, but how's it going to work when somebody lays the ball off to him, and it becomes, or it's a situation where a first-time cross makes sense? Maybe he has the left foot to do and put one in that's quality, but it's not a Kai Wagner for sure, and not that was ever the expectation. But I'm really intrigued to see how he does with us. And if I missed that one of them yesterday, I apologize. Please flag the minute during the game where he put a first-time left-footed ball so I can see it. But Phillipe brings something different. And when he starts dribbling and attacking forward versus, again, Ben Bender, admirable what he has done in terms of stepping in. But, Phillipe able to drive forward versus Ben Bender who has to step on the ball, play back, and try to swing it around, have someone help him create space, versus Phillipe who has pace, has technical ability as well, to just kind of find a way to slice through. I can think of one instance in the second half where he sort of dribbled from the left side in and then passed the ball. So I think that there's a lot to celebrate about his performance specifically. Carnell said as much. They were not expecting that he was going to give the 82 minutes that he gave or whatever it was. And in fact, that makes sense considering that Sari Larson was starting to warm up at around the 45th minute. So I think that they had sort of thought that was going to be the difference when to make the change. But Phillipe apparently said, "I'm good. Let me empty the tank. I want to do it for the group, for the guys." It's like, great. What a good first impression.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's go ahead and talk about something that I mentioned earlier. The Union's formation changed to a 4-2-3-1 from their typical 4-2-2-2. And I don't know how you felt about this, Jose. I thought the formation looked pretty good. Like we said, Alado goes up top as the lone striker. And I know we'll talk about the halftime changes here in a bit. But it seemed like the Union got a lot of transition moments where they were getting 4 players forward pretty quickly, whether it be a Kevin Sullivan and Anello Olaski, who took a beating this game, by the way. Alado, I don't think, got involved as much as Carnell and the staff would have wanted. But Bradley was quick to remind everybody that he's only 20 years old, which, I'll be honest, I forgot that, Jose. I forgot that he's only 20 years old, that he doesn't have a ton of experience at the first team level under his belt, like a Bruno Damiani when he came to Philadelphia, for example. And so, yeah, it's clearly a work in progress for Alado, but I would say all these new pieces overall. And so this is what Bradley Carnell said the thinking, the idea was behind the switch from the 4-2-2-2 to the 4-2-3-1.
One, we're just trying to get Ezekiel Alado, the moments, right? And we thought with 3 floating 10s in the midfield, just to create more, along the back line, along between the lines of their 6s and defenders, to float between there. And Ezekiel's a big presence. And then we just need him to run more in behind a little bit more. So he's still getting up to speed with everything. I think it's clear to see. He has certain tools, and when it comes to life, you'd be like, oh, right, there it is. So again, we continue to invest in him and develop him and grow with him. He's still young, and this is the thing. He's 20. Let's not forget that. And we know we put a lot of weight on his shoulders, but also we're realistic in his trajectory and his pathways. So this is something we committed to, and I think it's going to take a little bit of time. But every moment we give him in a real live match and a real live scenario, and then kind of Bruno's like the role model, how we can do it. And I thought when Bruno came on, you saw things just starting to click into place. We have some turnovers, and all of a sudden we look very goal-threatening and dangerous on their turnovers. So, and that was the thinking in the system formation today.
And let's go ahead and talk about those chances that the Union had once they brought in Bruno Damiani. He had a great chance there in the second half, Jose, where he threw one goal and just missed over the bar. Hits it with his right foot over. I thought, he probably should have been putting that one on target. This team throughout the game, I thought, struggled to really create many meaningful chances. But then they just started coming so often. It seemed like in the last 10 minutes of this game, you had Indiana Vassilev once again getting in such good positions. And he gets a lot of hate, right? And I'll be the first to admit, I've not always been satisfied with him, but I do respect what he adds to the team. His pressing is unmatched. Bradley Carnell clearly values that. We know that. To play in this team, you have to be a good presser first and foremost. But secondly, with Vassilev, it's not like he's not getting in positions to score. If he wasn't getting in these positions, okay, then there's another thing for the fan base to complain about. There's another thing for media to complain about. So I give Indy credit for being in the right position, making the right runs, and finding the ball so often. He's just unable to put the ball in the back of the net from open play. I know he has a goal from the penalty kick, the Union's only goal in MLS this season. I know they have a billion goals in CONCACAF because of the defense force, but at least Vassilev is getting in right positions, Jose.
I'm still trying to square away how he missed that that shot yesterday. And in terms of the way that it swerved, I think there was a really good shot, at least on the global feed. I put my VPN to whatever country in Europe and was watching via YouTube. And man, it looked like it was starting to sneak in and then immediately like curved out. And I'm thinking, how did you hit that? Like I'm really confused on how did you hit that? And I don't know if it was an instance of having way too much time and overthinking it. Bradley Carnell certainly didn't like it. That's where the funny gif came about of him throwing his pen at the ground. But it's to sound like Jim Curtin, it's those thin margins against teams like these, right? I don't know if we're going to talk about my optimism that you and I sort of spoke separately ahead of this, but it's not good, obviously, to lose at home, but to only lose 1-0 on a single chance by Club América,
literally
in a stadium,
chance.
On a stadium that was 90%, 80% Mexico, like, I don't think that's a terrible result, all things considered. Club América is a type of team that should be putting 3 or 4 in the Union when you do the American style comparison of team values. But it's those Bruno's as well. I'm the first one to defend Bruno because I like everything that he does off the ball just as much as what he does while he is attacking or on the dribble, etc. But to miss that the way that he did, not even putting it on frame, I wouldn't even be mad if he hit it right at the keeper and maybe something spills over for someone else to tap it. But to completely fluff it and hit it out, never mind other chances. Todd, we weren't sitting next to each other in the press box, but you should have seen my face when I saw that Milanowski free kick that just went into the river. I don't know if it was supposed to be a shot or a cross, but that thing was skied. It must have hit the concourse behind 140 easily, the way that it was shot. So it's those little chances and those little opportunities. I think of also Kevin's free kick in the first half that sort of bounced inside of the 6 and no one was there, or maybe Gainer Martinez was close to it, if I'm remembering correctly. It's those opportunities that are going to make a difference against a team like Club América.
And I don't know how much you buy into XG. I know XG doesn't tell the whole story. But now this is back-to-back games that the Union have won the XG battle. They won it against San Jose, didn't get a goal. 1.118 to 0.88 for San Jose. And then last night against America, 1.73 to 0.59 for America. And that tells you that the Union are creating enough meaningful chances, at least one where they should be putting it in the back of the net. And I do understand why Bradley Carnell isn't panicking, is staying optimistic, why the players are staying optimistic, because they are creating these chances. It's just not finding the back of the net. And we'll play a clip from Alaski here coming up soon about, staying confident, believing, once that one goal comes, the multiple goals will start coming for this team. But we'll go ahead and switch topics to the changes at halftime. I was speechless after Milan's free kick, although I just stared at the TV in silence for a minute from T-Mac.
Why weren't you there, T-Mac? Why weren't you there? Did you sell your ticket? Did you sell it?
We'll wait for the reply. But
no, don't tell us the reason. You don't have to tell us the reason. That's okay.
No, we're waiting. We're definitely waiting, T-Mac. But Bradley Carnell makes 2 changes at halftime. Brings off Alado and Cameron Sullivan, who I thought towards the end of the first half was starting to become maybe the Union's most creative player. He had a moment, right, where he took a player on 1v1 inside the penalty area and then draws a foul, or is the one who made contact and had the foul. At first, it's like, ooh, is this a penalty? Like, Kevin goes down, but Kevin clearly stepped on or kicked back the leg of the Club America defender. I'm like, this is definitely a foul against Kevin. But I was a little bit confused, Jose, why Kevin came out where he looked to be the most creative player towards the end of the first half. And Bradley Carnell came out and said, we want to be a little bit more defensive. And he started talking about Danley Jean-Jacques coming onto the field in the second half as well. So this is what Bradley Carnell had to say on the halftime changes.
Rodriguez is a handful down that side too. So just thinking of like the doubling up of defensive duties with Nate and Frankie in the 10. We've used Frankie in the 10 before, and we had a progression of, we were thinking of Ndinga might not last as long, and then we just dropped Frankie like we did, in terms of the progression. And then I thought Jesus Bueno and Jovan Lukic grew into the game and looked really solid. But I just think the athleticism of Danley Jean-Jacques, and he's played 10 before for us, so then we just kind of manufactured that. I didn't want to upset the Sixers. I thought they really had a good grip on the game, and I think the way we ended the last 12 minutes of the first half and the next 45 minutes was I thought the guys put on a really good display.
I don't think he's wrong. I think the Union did dominate in the second half, and is a big part of that because of the changes. Maybe we can talk about the goal real quick, Jose. Brilliantly played by Brian Rodriguez. Draws Macania out, drives the ball forward. Bueno gets split way too easily. And then it's just a good pass, and Union don't close down Vega close enough, able to take a touch, and then nothing Andrew Rick could do on that goal. Brian Rodriguez, we know that he's a dangerous player from his time with LAFC. We know throughout his time with Club America, a dangerous player. But you can't argue against Carnell's subs, because what did he do? What did Club America do in the second half once they put Frankie in that 10 role with Nate on the right side? Yeah, you're right. Nothing.
Nothing really. And, I rewatched some of the game today, that first half specifically, because I asked Carnell that question and I was really intrigued about the answer. And then doing some more digging, I guess I ended up rewatching it and I thought, you know what, he was right, because Cavan was certainly pushing forward a lot and he was very creative. He was doing a lot of that. But it seems like his, as my dog goes bananas, Olive, come here. Olive, come here. As the game was going on, I felt like Cavan was just being drawn forward, and especially in that first half, that he was letting go of that defensive marking or that defensive assignment that he was supposed to have, and allowing, as Carnell said, just for that overload that just was overwhelming. And to that, again, to the goal the only goal on the night, Philadelphia Union completely undone in that reset from the free kick. It was just unzippered and allowed for the Brazilian to just take one touch. I guess it sort of bounced off of his foot and then just blasted it in. It was Andre Blake couldn't do anything. Can't blame Andrew Rick for it. So it was a good goal, just engineered play for sure. But those halftime subs really did make a difference.
What do you think of Danley at the 10? We've seen it before. I think he's fine there.
I think he's great. If anything, I appreciate and maybe continues to add more value to him. But Frankie Westfield, what position doesn't he play at this point? Right, playing right back, left back across Union 2, and now playing the 10 from time to time. Like the guy can kind of do it all, adding more and more to his resume. But in terms of Danley, if that's as creative as the team can get, then they got to figure out what to do with the 6. Because the Lukic Danley partnership has been a little slow to get started this year, but nonetheless, he's still an incredible player. I think it just needs some getting up to gear, but the creativity is certainly lacking.
Yeah, I saw somebody on Twitter had commented to me that they would take Danley out of the starting lineup and put Raffanello next to Lukic to try to get some creativity. And I thought about it. I don't know if that I would take Danley out of the lineup altogether, but I don't think Raffanello's a bad shout, especially for a team that I think could use a little bit more creativity. 3 straight losses for the Union, 2 straight games of no goals scored, and yeah, I mean, they are creating chances, and there's moments. It's not like they're going chance after chance after chance, and that's what a soccer game is. Milan Lasky said it after the game. There's always going to be those little moments, and you got to take advantage of those moments when you do create. But I'm just not seeing it from Jesus Bueno. I don't think I've been that impressed with him all season. I know Brother Carnell had given praise in that clip to the number 6s. They didn't want to disrupt what they were doing. I just don't think Jesus Bueno offers you enough offensively. I mean, he gets beat way too easily on the goal. I don't think he's as quick as Jovan Lukic, certainly not as quick as Danley John-Jock. And this is a team that needs to find some way to get creativity, to create more chances on what they're certainly creating. But on the flip side, you can say, okay, well, he is doing the defensive work, Jesus Bueno, but I don't know. I mean, I think maybe you could sacrifice some of that defensive work if it meant opening yourself up and creating a little bit more chances. So I don't think if you really wanted to sit Danley at half and bring him on in the second half and try Raffanello, I mean, maybe it's worth a shot. I don't think Raffanello is going to be a certified starter. I definitely wouldn't put Raffanello at right back now that you have a left back in Ndinga and you have Westfield and Harriel going to split time. But yeah, I don't know, Jose. I think this team needs a little bit more creativity, and we talked about it. We would both love to have another number 10 come into this team. And yeah, I know there's going to be some national team stand saying, well, if you do that, might as well just say goodbye to Cavan because you're taking away more and more minutes from him. But this team really could. I think maybe one number 10. And I get it, right? We're talking about bringing in yet again another new player and another player to get used to a brand new team and this team trying to gel together. And we're watching the struggles right now of a new team trying to gel. But I don't know. I really do think that they could use just a little bit more creativity. And let's not forget, too, we're seeing how big of a loss no Kai Wagner is or no Quinn Sullivan is. I mean, you're losing your two biggest chance creators.
Yeah, I also prefer Bueno over Rafa. I'll put that out on the record. I think a player like Raffanello right now is probably playing for his future, and what league that would be. I'm not sure if an MLS team would take a chance on him, but after watching Chris Donovan this weekend, I can probably sense that Raffanello would be a very, very good USL player. There's nothing wrong with that. Just seeing sort of, the progression. Creativity wise, man, if I almost wonder if Kevin would have had a better defensive game, and load management wasn't a thing, which Carnell didn't say was a thing in this specific instance, but you can't help but to think that load management's kind of part of it. Obviously, he's still very, very young. I have a hard time seeing how Vasilev breaks into the team anymore with the way that Kevin has been playing. To be that creative, to be the center of creation against Club América in a hostile environment at Subaru Park, it's pretty impressive. I mean, he had some pretty good moments, some pretty good crosses in from the dead ball. I'm starting to think, and I was the first one, or I've been on the boat of, I should say, of easing the kid into it, but it's starting to feel like there's really no excuse onto why he shouldn't be starting. I'm just intrigued on when the switch finally happens, and if Carnell is willing to relent to take out Vasilev from the starting lineup for potentially good, now that it's, the countdown has been on with Kevin. It's now time, it seems, to just put him in. And I don't know where Quinn fits when he gets in. Obviously, it's a long ramp to get there. Maybe it's first up off the bench for Milanowski, and you shift Kevin over there to that side. It's going to be really interesting, but the Union are only going to get better, I like to think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll go ahead and end the show with one last clip from Milanowski talking about the confidence from this team that they still have belief and faith, and he believes that once they score that goal that they're continuing to come. But he also had a message too to the fan base, and we started this talking about the fans, and so I think it's only fitting if we end the show with a player talking about the fan base.
Yeah, I think the game's built on little moments, and I think that we're doing enough to score goals, and it's just getting the first one to go in, and it seems like it feels right now like it never is going to, but we have to believe that it is. And I know there's probably a lot of frustration from fans and from people, but I promise we're doing everything we can throughout the week to improve and try and get some goals. And I think when we get the first one, it'll be really important and push the group to believe we can score more goals.
And maybe it happens this weekend against Atlanta United. 3 p.m., 3:15 kickoff down in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Both teams struggling, Jose. Neither team has a win this season. Atlanta, they concede a lot of goals. It's not going the way that Tata Martino would have hoped for in his return back to Atlanta. Maybe this is the weekend. Maybe this is the game to get the Union flowing confidence-wise.
Yeah, maybe it's the primer that gets them moving, though. You and I spoke on just Sunday how it is usually difficult or has been for the Union to win at Atlanta. It seems like other teams are enjoying that as of late with how bad that team has been. But maybe I do share the same. I share the sentiment that Olowski just shared. It's the dam's going to break at some point, and I feel like all of these chances are just going to hopefully fall into the back of the net for them, because I don't need to see Olowski like that or again how defeated the dude looks every time he has to get in front of a microphone, or Agustina Neyo having to do it as well after a loss. So it feels like it's building up. It's just going to be, how can they start putting these away? And I think Ndinga is a big part of it, believe it or not, but also record signing that's playing now more than 200 minutes or close to 200, 300 minutes. I think that'll help out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think this is a pretty good place to end the podcast. Went longer than we said, but we're keeping it under an hour for sure, 100%. But yeah, looking forward to watching this game back on a replay, hoping that the Union can come away with 3 points. Yes, I know this fan base would take at least 1 point, but yeah, look, Atlanta have conceded 2+ goals in every single game this season. We know the Union went down to Mercedes-Benz Stadium and won 1-0. Ty Baribo, I believe, had the penalty kick goal converted down in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And this team always plays hard, and I'll never forget in 2024, I think it was, the Union were down 2-0. They came back, tied it up 2-2. They thought they had the game-winning goal, and then it gets waved off for offsides, I believe it was. So, I mean, to be fair, we've seen fight from this team the last 2 times down in Atlanta, and maybe we see it again this Saturday with kickoff at 3:15. But Jose, anything you want to plug? Where can people find you?
Yeah, the last thing I'll plug is I unfortunately had to decline the invitation. This is the 3rd year running that I've been invited. My wife and I have been invited to a table at I don't know if it's a gala or what exactly they are sort of dubbing the event, but the Starfinder Foundation that does a lot of really, really good work in terms of giving children in the area outside of Philadelphia and Philadelphia proper opportunities to maybe stay off the streets when they shouldn't be there, and doing so through soccer, as well as offering them opportunities to enhance their academic development. And a lot of it channeled through soccer, if I remember correctly. They're actually hosting this gala that I mentioned, and they're honoring Sebastian Letou for a lot of his work and certainly for his career at the Union. So I just wanted to plug them as a gigantic thank you for inviting me. But if that type of mission rings true to you, Todd, I'll ask that you potentially add their URL to the description of the podcast. And I'll certainly be tweeting out tomorrow at some point about if you're in a position where you can make a contribution to support that mission, that you consider it, even if it's as nominal as $2, $3, $5. Everything matters, especially for a program like this. It's not a program that's flooded with funding, but certainly people do a lot of really good work in terms of sharing their time, their knowledge, and certainly their philanthropic support as well. So every dollar matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, Jose and I have said it the last couple of episodes, and now nothing wrong with supporting local Philadelphia organizations, foundations. And so if you have any means of helping whatsoever, yeah, feel free to help. But if you guys aren't following Jose on social media, follow at Jose or Nunez91. You can catch all of his writing when MLS decides to have writing assignments from MLSsoccer.com. Also appearing on AAT Sports. And if you guys aren't following the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook when Twitter wants their work properly, at Free Kick Pod, wherever you guys get your podcasts of the Free Kick, check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/freekickpod, where you can get the goals breakdown video. Yes, I know we didn't get the San Jose goal breakdown video out yet, but look, there wasn't much breakdown from that game. So I said, yeah, let's not go and publish this video. And when Jose and I aren't getting copyrighted on YouTube because of Blunder of the Week, we'll go ahead and continue to show you guys Blunder of the Week that won't get us in trouble. And if you guys want to check out my writing, goals breakdown, or the podcast all in one place, youtube.com/freekick, thefreekick.substack.com. First time I messed that up. And again, we appreciate all you guys chiming in on YouTube, commenting. You guys, best part of the show. Sorry for people that are now listening to this on the RSS feed. You guys normally listen on Twitter. Have no clue what was going on with Twitter. Would not let us broadcast live. So strange. But again, we appreciate everybody who tuned in here on YouTube, commented, gave us lots of great comments, and happy to get you guys a podcast under an hour. So with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.